My name's Dr Anna Machin. I'm an evolutionary anthropologist based at the University of Oxford, where I explore the science behind our closest relationships. I've been working on an independent, detailed study of over 2,000 people, exploring our closest relationships, how we communicate within them, and the very real impact that social media has on the key relationships in our lives. The main findings of the research are firstly that we have a real problem with social media. One of the striking things from the survey is that social media is in fact excluding the older generation, and because of this we're seeing a breakdown in intergenerational communication. 58% of people feel that social media excludes the older generation. And this is a worry because we already have a problem with elder loneliness in this country, and we're now having a group of people who are even more isolated because they're not part of that world.
I'm certainly starting to lose touch with my grandchildren, and I feel that I'm being fenced out of their growing up. And it hurts.
The younger generation are actually putting a huge amount of effort into their social media communication. In a way, they're existing in a little micro world where they're all talking to each other, but they're not then communicating with actually the broad pool of people they probably know.
We're both on social media, but we don't really connect on it.
I often would think that, I take the time to write a big long spiel on Instagram, but don't actually take the time to write a letter to my nan.
Most of the older people I know don't really know how to use it, or they can just about email and that's about it. And then they don't understand, or they won't see what I'm doing.
There seems to be a shift happening in terms of how we actually want to communicate with those who are closest to us. So we're going back to more personal ways of communicating, such as sending cards, writing a letter. 2/3 of people felt that doing something personal, such as sending a letter or card, was in fact the most powerful way to maintain those relationships, particularly if we can't see each other face to face very often. The reason why social media has an impact on our mental health is because the wonderful flood of neurochemicals that you usually get by interacting with someone are absent, and we actually need those neurochemicals, particularly for our mental health, because they leave us feeling happy and positive. So getting something personalised, something private, which means the person has invested in the relationship they have with you, is much better at maintaining our relationships because we get that neurochemical reward.
Oh, I love it. It makes me feel connected to them.
I think it indicates that you've spent a bit of time on it rather than just quickly typing something out and hitting send.
I feel that it's more personal, created for me.
When we interact online, we actually don't feel as happy, and it's not as good at maintaining our relationships. Over 1/4 of the people who responded to our survey said that social media in fact made them feel less connected to their friends and family. Even though we may be using it for more than 2 hours a day, 50% of us feel that actually it has no positive effect on our close relationships. And maybe more worrying than that is the impact directly on mental health. So how likely you are to feel down or depressed, lonely, excluded, or anxious.
I think we are losing that connection. That's my view.
You post a picture, it might not get as many likes as another one, and then you're like, what did I do wrong?
If you just look at people that are highly successful, then you can also feel that you don't have enough.
It's time to take some of that communication offline. That rebalancing needs to occur, where we also include those more tangible ways of communicating, such as cards or letters, because by doing that, by making it more personal, you are going to reap the benefits, both in terms of your mental and physical health, but particularly in terms of the strength of those relationships.
A handwritten letter from someone, especially from someone you know, care about, have a feeling toward, that means something.
I'd all prefer an old-fashioned card.
And I might now, after this conversation, make the effort to write to people.